Let's go. I have no AI, no AC, no ideas worth a damn. And doesn't that scare you so much? We're going to get some stuff done. What are we going to do? I have no idea. Uh, hmm. Ideas. What do I have in my noggin for ideas? Uh, do I need a cube? No, I don't think I need a cube. Hmm. There's fireworks going on. I don't know how to make fireworks particle effects. It's my birthday. Make a cake. Make a cake. Shift A, mesh, cylinder, add cylinder, have the depth be half as much, reduce the number of vertices. Sure. Okay. Shift A, mesh, circle. Drop it below. There, maybe. Tab. Turn that into a face. Tab. G negative Z 0.001. Yep, that gets rid of the clipping. Now, to go into there, extrude scale, G Z. Oh, jeez. Oh boy. Fine. Free face, X, faces, 2, grab that edge, scale out, wonderful. Then E scale, do something like that. E scale, GZ, scale in again. Okay, now what are we going to do? Modifier, uh, generate, solidify in the opposite direction. Add modifier, generate, subdivision surface. That does an n-gon. Tab 3. Select face. Insert like that. Still doesn't n-gon. Not certain of that, but I'm going to take the circle, rename that as plate, then hide the plate. Uh, okay. Cylinder. Mm, okay. Uh, Shift S. Cursor to selected. Cool. So that's on top of the cylinder. Shift A, do another circle, shrink it. Uh, Tab. Oh, geez, I accidentally made the circle in edit mode. Okay, Shift A, mesh, circle. Wonderful. I'm gonna do that. Edit, mesh, E, S. Wonderful. Now that, loop, face. Wonderful. Tab. Take this. C. No. G. Z. Point. 0, 1. There we go. Um, Modifier. Generate. Uh, Form. Edit. Physics. Normals. Shrink wrap. Okay. Shrink wrap. Nearest point. Target. Object. Cylinder. Deform. Generate. Subdivisions. Generate, solidify. Thickness. Add modifier. Subdivision surface. Three. Do that. Inset. Control R. Control R scroll wheel. Wonderful. So apply that shape, apply that shape, apply that shape, add modifier, deform, shrink wrap, this time the plate. Oh, never mind. The plate and the thing. Control J. Oh, Control Z. The plate needs to have its solidified subdivision surface. Then I control join those two. Then I do a shrink wrap. I don't think I am making a cake properly. Hmm. I'm thinking. I'm trying to think. Trying to think. Paste. Modifier deform. Simple deform. I don't see what that's doing. Why? Control Shift F? No, that's A. Alt Shift S? Circularize. Yes. Alt Shift S. File. Wild. Wireframe. Great. Well, that's wild. So Shift Z does wireframe viewport view while Alt Shift Z. Oh. Oh. Okay. That's Alt Shift Z. Interesting. Alt Z is toggling X-ray. Nice. Nice. By the way, the microphone is literally just like less than the distance between my pinky and my thumb. Like it's just like right off my left cheek. It's just like right there. Perfect distance. Perfect distance. It's great. I love it. It's great. When I drop my microphone, it's like an inch away from hitting the microphone. The headphones. This thing is like really loose. Okay. Anyway, I don't need a cake tutorial. Well, I wish there was a cake tutorial. But I refuse to keep looking for a cake tutorial. I am sweating so much, and I have a ton of fans. I got, well, yeah, a ton of fans running in my computer, and they're like full blast. And then I also have a box fan over to the right that appears to be shaking. I don't have a proper metaphor or analogy to explain what that's doing. I have it held down with two barbells and it's still shaking. Um, what was that? Alt Z? Yeah. Oof. More water. Gotta love water. Water. 10 out of 10 best drink. Modifier. Subdivision surface. Ooh. Have. Shift. No. Control R. still sweating. And there go fireworks. 3rd of July. Fireworks. Wonderful. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Material. New. Base color. Dark blue. Why not? New. Displacement. Hold on, is it raining now? Hold on. Let me. Hell yeah, it's raining. Woo! Hell yeah, it's raining. I have I've never been so glad for rain. Holy. Oh boy. Oh boy, what's the weather app looking? Oh boy, there's a lot of active wildfires in America. Apparently, the weather app is saying 0% chance of rain. Let me. Oh boy, I'm opening up the window. Okay, maybe not. Maybe I can't open that window. Oh boy. I'm gonna move my box can over a bit. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, we got rain. We do in fact got rain. And it's coming down hard. I don't get why the weather app is being like, oh no, there's no rain. What do you mean there's no rain? What does the radar say? Flippin' doodah ad. That's what the radar's saying. No, I don't want Timu either. Aw, it's just barely grazing us. Well, at least it's gonna make my apartment not 90 flippin' degrees. Honestly, I don't think I should be running Blender in this heat. Oh boy. It's too hot for my computer, I think. Oh, yeah. Um, it's too hot for my computer, it's too hot for my brain. Yeah. 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 This is a bust. This is this is this is an absolute bust. What am I even doing? Trying to make a cake. I don't even. Was I reading the manual for nothing? Was I reading the manual trying to psych myself into thinking that I was actually learning something? Let me do something. Let me Mm, Shift S selected. Shift S selected. Shift A icosphere. A icosphere. Why can't I move things? Is it caps lock? No. Shift tab is snap. It was snap. It was snap. Of course. And I didn't need an AI to and help me on that. Shift A, mesh, cylinder, depth, like that, and like that. Physics, fluid, type, domain, physics, fluid, type, flow, fire, flow source, mesh, initial velocity, flow behavior, inflow. Fuel 0.5. Material new. Shader. Cafe input. Search volume. Principled volume. Cafe input. Texture. Utilities. Group layout. Volume info. I feel like I'm messing something up. Okay. Okay. Okay, Ryan King, what am I doing wrong?
Normals are the direction that the face is.
Yeah.
That the fire and smoke simulations just aren't as high resolution and aren't as high quality. You can definitely do this in Eevee and the material will work the same in Eevee, but I'm going to be using cycles. Now you want to add the material to the domain, you don't want to add the material to this object. You can add a different material to this object if you want to, but for the smoke material and the fire material you need to select the domain. Let's click on new to add a new material and I can just call this fire. And we'll go into the rendered viewport mode to see how this is looking, and I'm going to click over here on the world properties and I'm just going to delete the world so it's fully black so we can really see the fire glowing. Now we don't want to use the principled shader because this is just going to be on the surface. We want to use the volume instead. So we're going to delete the principled shader. Let's go to the add menu and we're going to search for the principled volume, and because
Okay, principled volume. Okay.
Because this is a volume, we're going to put it into the volume instead of the surface. You can see not that much has changed. Now, one easy way that you can show the fire and the smoke is to turn up the black body intensity. So if I turn the black body intensity all the way up to 1, you can see the fire and the smoke.
Okay.
You could turn up even higher to maybe like a 10, so the fire looks a lot brighter. Now there is something that I want to change regarding the color management. So if I click here on the render properties and scroll down here, let's open up the color management at the very bottom. And if I change the view transform from AGX, which is the default, I'm going to change it to Filmic instead. You can see the colors look quite
Hold on. So that's render filament. Okay, render. Hmm. View motion film format release pencil restyle color management filament. Okay, black body temp intensity 10. Okay. And then what I need to do is
a bit more saturated. And then here on none, I'm going to change this to high contrast. So you can
cool.
here's the difference between AGX. The colors just don't look that nice. I think changing it to Filmic definitely makes the colors look better. So I'm going to use Filmic and I'll change the look to high contrast. So now you can also change this temperature value. So if you turn this up, you can see things are going to be a bit lighter and a bit blown out, or you can turn the temperature down if you want to be a bit more red. And maybe even I could even turn the black body intensity even higher to like a 20. So that's one way to create the fire material, but I'm going to be using a different method that I like better. So I'm going to move the principled volume up here, and I'm going to duplicate it and drop it down here, and I'm just going to plug the volume into the volume here, and then with the volume, principled volume selected, I'll hit the backspace, and that's going to reset it. So what I'm going to do instead is search for volume info. Let's drop the volume info right here. And I can now take the flame and I can put the flame into the emission strength. If I were just to turn the emission strength up, you can just see it looks really blocky and that doesn't look good. But if I put the flame into the emission strength, now that looks a lot nicer and more detailed. I can also take the flame and put the flame into the emission color to adjust the colors. Now I want to change the colors. So if I go to the add menu, I can search for a color ramp and I'll drop the color ramp here between the volume info and the emission color. So this way we can customize the color of the flame.
Okay, what I want to do right now physics.
in your scene. Now the cache tab is used to bake the simulation, and we're going to be going back to this later in the video, but I want to do this towards the end. So I'm now going to jump down to field weights. So with the field weights, you can manage the different force fields and the gravity. So if you want to disable the gravity or disable any of the forces, you can turn them down. So for example, I'll go to the add menu. You can go down here to force field, and I could add a wind. So let's just rotate the wind, maybe scale it down and stick it right over here. And then I can turn up the wind strength. You can see those circles there are going to show how strong the wind is. Maybe I'll just turn the strength down though to like a 10, so it's not quite as strong. Now if I click back on the domain and scroll down to the bottom and go to the field weights, I could make it less strong. So for example, let's go down here to wind, and I can just drag the wind down, turn it down to like a 0.1 or a 0.2, and I can see it's not really going to affect the fire that much because the wind is a lot less strong. Or I can turn this up and the wind is going to have its full effect. So I'm just going to delete.
Wait, what? Okay, that's a completely different section. But I want to play with that eventually.
This setting. Now at the very bottom here, there is a texture setting. So I can turn on the texture setting. I'll just check mark this. And so you can actually add a texture, and then different parts of the mesh where the texture is going to have the flames coming out more in some areas and less in other areas. So you can choose a texture here. So first let's click right over here to go to the texturing workspace. We'll add a new texture, and on image or movie here, I could change it to a few different ones. Let's choose like the Musgrave, and then if
Uh, Wait.
if you just click right back here to go to the physics, scroll down, make sure you've chosen that texture. You can
Oh, Cub. I can't do texture. Okay, there we go. Texture, new, cancel, Musgrave.
see it added it automatically. So if I play the simulation, let's go back to
Oh geez, oh geez. That's, that's what's happening. Apologies. Apologies, Mr. Ryan King.
the fire settings. You can see because I've added this Musgrave texture, the fire
Okay.
Now, the sampling substeps is going to improve the quality of the fire. However, if you turn this up too high, it might start to get kind of laggy. You can see it doesn't look too bad, but it is definitely a bit more laggy. However, I'm just going to keep this down to 0. I don't really want to turn up the
Sampling substeps staying at 0.
this value, but if you find it's a bit low quality and you want to improve it, you can turn that up. Now, as far as the general quality and the detail of the smoke, we're going to be adding a lot more detail later. You can see it's really blobby right now, so we'll be adding that later. We'll be adding more detail to it later in the video. Now, there's also this absolute density, so if I turn this off and then play this, you can see more and more smoke is just going to continue to build up. So this makes like a really large fire simulation. This might be good for like an explosion or like a large house that's on fire or something. But if you turn the absolute density on and then play this, you can see it's going to be more natural, looks more like a campfire. And so the smoke is going to dissipate and then go away, and then more smoke will replace it. Now the fuel is going to fuel the fire. So if you turn this up, there's going to be a lot more flames. So you can see if I turn this up,
Shift A. Control A. Scale. Okay. That didn't sound like a firework. I still have the windows open. Yeah, that was firework. No, it was firework. I finally heard the sizzle. Nah, it's still way too hot. Still way too hot. I'm keeping the windows open. But my mans, my flame does not look good. Control A, scan. The flame's going too tall.
Up all the way to 5 on the fuel, there's going to be a very large simulation. Or if I turn this
Hmm. I can't focus. I keep pushing. I want this to work. I want what I'm doing to work. I just don't know how I'm gonna do it.